Throughout the 2025 Formula One season, McLaren has emerged as a standout team in one particularly intriguing area: tire management. While rival teams continue to puzzle over the secret behind McLaren's impressive consistency, subtle clues, perhaps even unintentionally shared by Red Bull, have hinted at where the answer might lie. If McLaren's approach is eventually confirmed as both legal and revolutionary, the implications could be twofold. We may see amendments to the sporting regulations, or alternatively, rival teams may rush to replicate what McLaren has done. One thing is undeniable: the MCL39 has drawn serious attention for its unmatched ability to preserve tire life during races. On track, neither Oscar Piastri nor Lando Norris have shown the kind of tire-related issues like oversteer, understeer, or sudden snaps that have plagued their competitors. This has sparked discussions throughout the paddock. While part of this can be attributed to McLaren's brilliant aerodynamic package, there's growing belief that something more technical is at play, something embedded deeper within the car's systems. A key point of controversy was sparked by Christian Horner, who reportedly presented the FIA with thermal imagery revealing unusual cold spots on McLaren's tires. Such anomalies suggest a kind of temperature manipulation. Speculation ran wild. Was McLaren somehow cooling the tires mid-race? Some even suggested the possibility of water-based cooling inside the valves, a method which would be flagrantly illegal. However, Pirelli swiftly dismissed that theory, explaining it's physically impossible to push water through tire valves in such a manner. This dismissal opened the door to another, more plausible theory: the use of phase change materials, PCMs. Though it might sound complex, PCMs are actually common in a variety of industries, from high-performance clothing to architecture. These materials absorb or release heat as they transition between states, such as from liquid to solid, maintaining a steady temperature during the process. Their key strength lies in regulating heat efficiently and passively. If McLaren has integrated PCMs into their design, particularly around the brake drum covers, they could be managing the immense heat generated during braking in a very clever way. While these materials don't come into direct contact with the tires, they do influence the temperature flow from the brake assembly. Braking systems can reach temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius, and this heat normally travels through the wheel hub into the tire itself, a crucial process for tire warm-up and grip. However, McLaren may have found a way to modulate this heat flow. With PCMs absorbing excess heat and releasing it in a controlled manner, they could be maintaining optimal tire temperatures throughout a stint, avoiding overheating and preserving performance. This would explain why McLaren performs on par with other top teams in qualifying, where everyone is pushing for a single lap, but then pulls away during the race with superior pace and consistency. The first suspicions surrounding this technology began with Horner's thermal images. Once those images hit the paddock, speculation ignited. Cold patches on McLaren's tires weren't just odd, they were unheard of. It became evident that McLaren might be using a system that no other team fully understands yet. If McLaren had been using water to cool the tires, it would have been a direct and undeniable breach of FIA regulations. But since the technology in question revolves around phase change materials, PCMs, there's currently no rule prohibiting their use. PCMs are non-electronic, non-mechanical components, and that technicality means McLaren's approach remains within the legal boundaries, for now. Interestingly, the origins of this theory go back nearly a decade. Former McLaren engineer Martin Buchan wrote a doctoral thesis 8 years ago exploring the potential of using PCMs in motorsport. It appears that McLaren may have taken those theoretical ideas and brought them to life, strategically embedding PCMs within the brake drum covers to regulate heat transfer. The goal? Prevent excessive heat from reaching the tires, maintaining optimal temperature throughout a race stint. However, just because something is legal now doesn't mean it will remain so. The FIA has a long history of reacting swiftly to innovations they believe offer an unfair advantage or violate the spirit of the sport. If they determine that McLaren's system gives the MCL39 too much of a competitive edge, the loophole could be closed overnight. This raises a broader and more important question. Is Formula One becoming too over-regulated? Innovation is the lifeblood of the sport. Engineers are paid to push boundaries, to think creatively, and to find that elusive tenth of a second. If McLaren's use of PCMs is indeed clever, efficient, and critically legal, should it be penalized simply because it works too well? The technical mastermind behind McLaren's recent innovations is Rob Marshall, the former Red Bull chief engineer. His return to Woking has undoubtedly been a major factor in the team's resurgence. But this success has brought scrutiny. McLaren has already had to defend itself over previous controversies, such as the so-called mini DRS system, exposed during the 2024 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which gave them a clear edge on low downforce tracks. There were also questions about the flexibility of their front wing. These issues, unlike the PCM system, concerned moving parts and were easier to detect. They could be spotted visually, assessed with tools, and addressed with regulatory clarifications. But the thermal behavior of materials like PCMs is far more subtle. You can't see it with the naked eye. That makes it harder to police, and perhaps why it's still flying under the radar. With new technical directives expected ahead of the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona, many expect the FIA to finally clamp down on some of McLaren's advantages. The rest of the grid certainly hopes so. Still, when it comes to the brake temperature management system, McLaren may have found a way to remain compliant while still dominating the race pace. Christian Horner's recent complaints about cold spots on McLaren's tires have done little to rattle the team's leadership. In fact, McLaren CEO Zak Brown responded with cheeky humor, labeling his personal water bottle tire water, a clear jab at Red Bull's insinuations. His message? If Red Bull believes there's a real case, they're welcome to file a formal protest. Team principal Andrea Stella also weighed in. While addressing Red Bull's suspicions, he praised their engineering excellence, but also hinted at their tendency to shape the narrative. They build fast cars, Stella said. They drive them exceptionally well, and they're extremely skilled at shaping the conversation to their advantage. Red Bull has always been known for seizing every possible opportunity to stay ahead, on and off the track. At times, they frame the narrative as though they're working miracles just to stay competitive. You'll hear comments suggesting, "We shouldn't even be close. The others should be dominating practice, qualifying, and the race." But in reality, that's just part of the psychological game. It's a narrative crafted by some of our competitors. We see it, we acknowledge it, and then we turn the page and focus on our own work. Credit where it's due. Red Bull has mastered not just the technical side of racing, but also the non-technical battlefield: media messaging, timing, and narrative control. That's a powerful tool in modern Formula One, but it may also be part of the reason we're seeing signs of growing instability within their camp. Desperate to keep the RB machine competitive and to secure Max Verstappen's long-term commitment, they're exploring every possible avenue, technical or otherwise. If you ask Red Bull team principal Christian Horner about the tire temperature controversy, he'll tell you discussions like this are inevitable, legal or not. Look, in Formula One, there are always going to be questions raised, Horner said. McLaren did the same thing to us last year when they questioned our front suspension. When you're at the front, as we've been for several seasons, you naturally attract more scrutiny. That's just how this sport works. And he's right. With the immense resources at each team's disposal, competitor analysis has become a key part of modern F1. Teams study each other relentlessly. The FIA doesn't always have to lead the charge. Most investigations begin with rival suspicions. That said, there's no denying that McLaren's MCL39 has become the standout car of the 2025 season. They're now enjoying the kind of performance advantage Red Bull once had. Their tire temperature management, particularly on the medium compound as seen in Miami, has been nothing short of exceptional. And as we've discussed, that advantage may stem from their innovative use of PCMs. This situation will no doubt be under deeper scrutiny moving forward. The FIA is already expected to take a much closer look at the MCL39's brake drum cover, seeking any confirmation of PCM implementation. And that raises an important question. If further evidence proves McLaren is using this technology to gain a tire advantage, should the FIA amend the sporting code? Should innovation like this be celebrated or restricted? Comments below. And once you're done, don't forget to click on the video that's popping up on your screen right now. And don't forget to subscribe my channel.